Hey guys, today I'm doing a video on Beverly Hills Cop raps. Now, specifically, there's basically three. Now, Beverly Hills Cop, of course, talking about the movies, starring Eddie Murphy, original came out in 1984, and there are other songs that I'm not really going to talk about that are associated with Beverly Hills Cop, mostly being on the soundtrack to Beverly Hills Cop 3. You know, something like this, Eazy-E cassette single, Love for Them Gangsters. This was on the soundtrack to Beverly Hills Cop 3, but otherwise it really has nothing to do with Beverly Hills Cop. The three records I'm going to talk about all absolutely do. The original came out the same year as the movie, 1984. This is the Future MC's Beverly Hills Rap. The Future MCs now, you might not be too familiar with, but they actually have a pretty extensive career. They're very early West Coast sort of pioneers. If you know the Rappers Rap Group, if you know Dark Star, those are the same guys, except the Future MCs is less of them. Basically, Rappers Rap Group became Dark Star, and then they kind of split up. They did really early stuff, like 1980. They were like the West Coast Sugar Hill Gang almost, except there's more of them. But then they broke up, and guys like King MC went one way, and this group, which is mostly like MC Frosty, DJ Flash, and some other guy who I'm forgetting, they became the Future MCs. They put out two 12-inches, including this one, the Beverly Hills Rap. Now, this is somewhat on the topic. It's not, they don't really get too movie specific on the verses here, but you know, they do definitely rap about being in Beverly Hills, and they talk about, you know, Please Kind of Matters and stuff in Beverly Hills. But more importantly, they completely use the famous Beverly Hills Cop Axel F theme song. It's called Axel F because the character in the movie, Axel Foley, that's the one Eddie Murphy plays, and his theme, the one that goes dun 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 dun. That's sort of the famous theme. It's got the boom 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 bass line and all that. That's his really famous theme, and that's what they use here. So it's that Axel F theme turned into a hip hop beat. So as you can see, this is Flash Records, as in their producer DJ Flash. The B-side here is a couple other Future MC songs not related to Beverly Hills Cop, Nosy People, and We Are the Future. And interestingly, on their second 12-inch, which came out in 1985, featured a couple other songs, obviously, but the B-side to that 12-inch is the same as this B-side. So the A-side is like two or three other Future MC songs. I think it's three. But then flip it over, it's Nosy People and We Are the Future. It's like the same label and everything. They just recycled the B-side and just made a new A-side for their second single. Anyway, this is a really fun one. The music sounds great. The MCs sound great on it. MC Frosty was always one of my favorite of the Rappers Rap Group anyway. This has a really early Spanish rap on here. Just one verse is in Spanish. The whole thing is just really tight. It's very fast-paced. It's a lot of fun and makes great use of the theme song. Then the second one came out in 1985 on Club Records. And this one's a little wonkier. You got two sides, which are pretty different. You got the Axel F side A, and Axel F side A is really just it's the Axel F theme, the one basic famous theme song. Of course, Beverly Hills Cop has lots of famous music, but a lot of that was sort of pop music. But the most famous original score is definitely an Axel F theme. So the A side is basically just sort of clubby versions of Axel F. There's no rapping on it. It's just the same basic instrumental. See, so they're just reworking the Axel F theme, but they do genuinely do a lot of remixing and adding the hand claps and all kinds of echoey effects. But the B-side then He's like Eddie did. And now this is pretty crazy. This has some MCs calling themselves the Beverly Hills Cops. Like, that's their name. They've never done anything else, of course. This is the only 12-inch. And the song is called Like Eddie Did, parenthetically, the Eddie Murphy Rap. Because it's actually, again, this is not about Beverly Hills Cop, the plot of the film at all. It's actually about Eddie Murphy and his life. It talks about him, debuting Saturday Night Live and being a great stand-up comic and making movies, and eventually it leads to Beverly Hills Cop. But it's not about Axel Foley. It's really about Eddie Murphy. And they use a little bit of the Axel F theme on here, but a lot of the music is also original. Not that exciting. It's not bad, though. It's kind of bland. It's two guys basically rapping in unison the whole way through. This is very early. It's 1985. And it's got a little bit of that sort of mini, sort of like Run DMC, very watered down. But it is fun. It's fun that they're rapping about Eddie Murphy. At some point, they actually rap in Buckwheat's accent, which is, of course, taken largely from what Spider D had already done. But, they talk about, because Buckwheat was Eddie Murphy's character on Saturday Night Live, originally from the Little Rascals, but he did it on Saturday Night Live rather famously. And so, they rap a little bit in that accent. And there's two versions here, the radio and the club. The radio is just a slightly shorter version of the club version. So it's basically just the one version of the one song. But it is pretty fun. It's kind of wild.
Take time to find out what you do best. Give it your all, homeboy, and nothing less. Find out, homegirls, what you want to do, and then go out in the world and make it work for you. People of the world, both the young and old, we've got a message in our heart that's got to be told. To help you all learn about the fame and glory, we'll talk about a man who justifies our story. His name is Eddie Murphy. Started out with a dream of telling jokes on stage and on the movie screen. Now rumors, they can't get you down, only if you let it. If you want your dream, you've got to go and get it.
And those are the two that are really associated with the first film. Then in 1987 or something, Beverly Hills Cop 2 came out, and then there was a long pause, and finally in 1994, John Landis came back and made Beverly Hills Cop 3. And it's really that buzz, again, like I showed you the Eazy-E cassette single was the soundtrack to Beverly Hills Cop 3. This is not the soundtrack to Beverly Hills Cop 3, but it's absolutely, riding on the buzz of that film. This came out in 1994. Same time as Beverly Hills Cop 3, so that's what this is based on. And now this is, again, Axel F, 1994 remix, Techno Cop, they call it. Or actually, Techno Cop was the group. You can tell Techno Cop is a reference to Beverly Hills Cop. And they had done a couple other 12 inches, which are all other versions of Axel F. And, they're like techno club kind of stuff. And they don't feature any rapping. It's just basically the Axel F theme song, over techno beats and club beats and faster stuff. Even the Beverly Hills Cop 3 soundtrack, now I'm not talking about the soundtrack like the album with Eazy-E, but just the score, featured all kinds of remixes and other versions of Axel F. They had Axel F over a little hip hop beat, Axel F with tinny horns and stuff. If you watch the movie, it makes a little bit more sense. And so this is totally overseas European kind of stuff, specifically Germany, I believe. And they had, again, released Axel F in 94 a bunch of times on various 12-inch singles. Like if you look up on Discogs, there's 18 12-inches. And they're all just different techno-y versions and stuff like this. But this is the one you want. This is the only one with rapping on it. You can tell it's got the whole Axel F it's not really a picture cover, it's a plain sleeve, but it's designed for the single. And it features, this is what's surprising, wow, Curtis Blow. Yes, the Curtis Blow, the original Curtis Blow. He's on here. This is really basically the end of his career, long after he'd done albums. I've actually talked on my blog, after his last album, he went to Germany and recorded a couple more singles, which are, pretty obscure. They're his last, barring sort of old school legend comeback stuff, that stuff for Absolute Vodka, where they did a whole bunch of old school MCs, made a little record. Barring that kind of stuff, where he wasn't sort of hey, look, I'm an old school MC, look at the novelty of me being old school. When he was still sort of just Curtis Blow, the recording artist, sincerely, those were his last materials, the singles he released in Germany. And so he hooked up, presumably, with those guys, or not presumably, absolutely necessarily, to record this version of Techno Cop. So this is a techno version of the Axel F theme song. So sped up to 45, naturally. But with verses by Curtis Blow being the Beverly Hills Cop. And what's even more amazing is that there's actually a very rare low-budget music video for it. where he's driving around Beverly Hills. He's got a gun. He's in the car, like basically playing Axel Foley. So there's two versions of this 12-inch, one on each side. The Innocence mix, which is the A side, is the one you want. That one features Curtis Blow. Then you got a B side called Pump Gun mix, which is another just plain techno remix of the Axel Foley theme. Is still that music, but no rapping, no Curtis Blow, any of that fun stuff. So if you really, for hip hop, for rap versions of Beverly Hills Cop, this is absolutely the one you got. So you got to dig through it. It's not that hard to find, but if you're looking like online and stuff, you'll see tons and tons of versions of Axel F by Technocop, and they won't beat this one.
Strolling without respect, now I'm holding colder. The world's cold, so cold, so cold that I gotta get bold. I got a hard job, somebody's gotta do it on the dance floor. Come on, let's move it. City of Detroit, pump up again. Back, work again. Criminals, they're criminal right there. Got no bliss, we in your air. Don't get bash your face in. So check it. Off the phone, travel alone. Open it up on the microphone to make the bad guys chill. Right here in Beverly Hills.
So Beverly Hills Cop is a great 80s, very fun movie, which has a real hip-hop spirit, so it's only appropriate that there are some great 80s and 90s Beverly Hills Cop rap records. I actually recommend all three. If you only get one, though, and you really, largely only need one rap record rapping over the Axel F theme song, hands down for me, the Future MCs. That's the best one in all departments, musically, lyrically, delivery of the MCs, but all three are a lot of fun, and none of them are hard to find. None of them are really expensive or anything like that. So I absolutely recommend all three, and I recommend all three Beverly Hills Cop films. And like the records and the movies, Beverly Hills Cop 3 is nowhere near as good as Beverly Hills Cop 1, but it's still fun. It's sort of the same thing with the records. The oldest, the 1984 one, is the best. It kind of goes downhill, but it's still at least worth your time. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.